before we were a store, we were actually just a design and development office with the heart to do things in a sustainable and environmentally conscious way. And so 5 years ago, there are three brothers, Juan, Fernando, and Patricio. They're three Argentinian brothers that decided to start this company and pretty much partner with different co-ops and sustainable manufacturers that still produce things in an ancient way. In the ancient way, there isn't any petrochemicals or any, harmful chemicals used. It's all organic. It's all natural. And so they saw that as a way to bring different products into a larger market, but also in a way to introduce products in a sustainable method. A lot of different companies, they'll show you the way that they manufacture something, but then you look at where their fabric comes from or how their fabric is made, and it's like a completely opposite story. Like, our company isn't that way. Like, we're very strict when it comes to our entire manufacturing facilities and how it looks like, what's going on there. We're very hands-on and involved. Every manufacturer place, so we manufacture our cotton basics in India. We do our alpaca sweaters in Bolivia. Some of our shoes are made in Argentina. Some are made in Brazil. Some are made in Mexico City. So everywhere that we manufacture something, the entire production is there, and it's linear. They're all relatively very close to one another. So I think the best example that I can give you is in our cotton production in India, it's all done in Tamil Nadu. The cut and sew house is right next to the dye house, which is right next to the production house, and so forth. It's all this local process to where they are. And so all of our shirts, they're made from scratch. We grow the organic cotton ourselves. We collect all of the natural dyes ourselves. So we have different teams that lead that in their respective places all over the world. Authenticity is hot right now. Everybody wants to become perceivable as authentic, but just showing their manufacturing facility there's more to it than just that image. We want people to be excited about the design. We want people to be excited about the fabric and the way that it feels, the way that it drapes, the aesthetic of it. That's important. But at the end of the day, we want to engage somebody in a conversation that allows them to know the way this was made, who made it, how it was done, and why it was done. A lot of people, when they consider sustainability, they tend to look at the environmental side really well, but they forget that there's also a social aspect to it, and there's also an economical aspect to it. And so I think that's one of the biggest challenges. We work with strict margins. So not everything in here is necessarily affordable. When you think about it, the work is definitely here. It's definitely worth the price that's being put here. But there needs to be the consideration that if people want to support sustainability, they also need to support the profit of the company that's doing things in a sustainable way. It goes beyond just the t-shirt. It goes beyond just the consumer. It's almost as if it's a direct relationship with someone across the world. A long time ago, it came out that everything that Apple was making was being made in China at these horrible factories. And I remember, I don't know if it was Steve Jobs or maybe a CEO after him, but was pretty much, his response was pretty much well, as long as people are buying it, then we're going to keep manufacturing it. And in fashion, it goes beyond the consumer. It's the way that the industry does it. Great designers like Eddie Slimane from Saint Laurent, or just guys from these high-end fashion houses, they're reporting on interviews that they can't keep up with the fashion seasons anymore. That schedule, it's depleting people out of their creativity. It's depleting people out of respecting garments and the way that they're made and the silhouettes and the art that it really is. And it's being perpetuated by consumers. And as long as we're buying into it, they're going to find somebody else to do it. And that person is going to get used up. But one day that person is going to become aware. And that's when you see like those legends like start quitting. And you're like, what? He quit from Saint Laurent? What? Gucci got a new blah, blah, blah. You know, like, what? It gets crazy. You're like, why did this person leave like this respected high-end fashion house? And the reason why is because they can't keep up. I think people need to be asking the whys. I think people need to be asking the hows. And they need to be holding these companies accountable and asking beyond, like, okay, you're showing me this image of this great worker, but, where does your fabric come from? Where's your cotton grown? And how is it grown? And there's statistics that support, like, if a company is using synthetic cotton, man, they're spreading cancer out there, because statistics show that communities that grow synthetic cotton they're affected rigorously by tumors and different sicknesses that come from the pesticides. So I think consumers need to go out there and become conscientious of that, become aware of that, and hold these other businesses accountable. When you make a purchase, it's as important as a political decision. And imagine if people started looking at buying clothes with that regard, that when you buy a garment, you're making something, you're voting for something, or you're supporting something that's greater than yourself, right? Because a lot of times I think we purchase things just thinking about how cool it's gonna look on us or how we can stun on our friends, right? But the reality is all of this goes beyond that moment. And if we were to become aware of that, it would change everything. Because then we would start buying clothes that align with maybe a sense of morality even. If we're aware of what we're purchasing and the reason why and the story or the reasons behind it, it makes that purchase something a lot more significant. Like, have you ever saved up for something that you wanted for a really long time, and then when you get it, man, it's a whole different experience. Like, you're taking care of it, but you're getting a lot of use out of it. And imagine if a garment was something beyond, something that we throw in the wash, or when we're done with it, we just, throw it on the ground or whatever like that. But we regarded it in that same way, that, somebody toiled for this piece of garment, and I was able to purchase it because I worked for it as well too. So I'm gonna use it. And I think that mentality is different, because then it excludes just buying for no reason. I think some people are addicted to new. In all honesty, we see change really occur when people band together. There's a lot of power behind unity. Things can't get done without there being a team, or without there being a group of people that agree on an idea to go beyond, right? And so, honestly, what the consumer can do is that they can unite. They can band together. And this is just as, we're talking about clothes, and I think, we think it's such a minimal thing, but clothes is a huge, huge impact on the environment. And it's something that people should be aware of. What if I were to tell you that the garments that you're buying, is making a way so that your kids can experience the same environment that you experience? Whoa, there's so much more significance to that. But on the other side of that, it's what if you're not doing that? Then what are you perpetuating, right? What are you throwing into the cycle? What are you depleting? And so there's a lot of weight to that. There's a lot of power in what we can consume and what we can advocate for. And so I think yes, the support is great, but the awareness can even be greater. Knowing what your alternatives are, knowing what the brands are that are doing things in the right way. Because at the end of the day, it's not just about the consumer, but it's about the manufacturer. It's about the production. It's about, the environment.